to Find It with our beautiful Debbie Bettendorf. However, I'm not Debbie Bettendorf, but this is Find It, and you did find the right show, so don't go anywhere. Tonight, we have a special presentation, and Debbie's very excited about this presentation, but Debbie needed to be elsewhere tonight. And so, like they say in production, the show must go on, and it will. And tonight, we're going to be talking about this beautiful Radiant Reset. And the host of that tonight is going to be the beautiful and one and only Marsh Engle, who is right here. Welcome, Marsh, to Debbie's Find It.
Thank you, Lynn. So happy to be here. Yes.
We are honored and we're excited for all the beautiful ladies that are going to be on the show tonight. And I'm honored to produce the show. Was looking forward to all week. So the show must go on. I'm going to pass the baton to you. You're going to be in good hands because beautiful ladies here. And I know Debbie is going to be excited about this book. So we will.
Yes, so beautiful.
Yes, it is. There's Debbie's name there and all these other ladies. So we're really super excited. We will have through the show, we will have the little ticker thing of where you can get this book and all those things. But Debbie won't be here, but we'll get the show going. So I'm going to get off the screen here and bring all your people and take it away, Marsh.
Okay, fantastic.
Right. Thank you.
To be here. Always a great honor and a great privilege and kind of a lot of fun to be with a community of amazing women. And I'm assuming and knowing that the Find It community is absolutely that because I know Debbie Bettendorf and I know the kind of women that's in her community and beautiful. I wanted to start, since Debbie is, as Lynn mentioned, here she is. She's one of the authors out of the 12 that's in the book. And I wanted to mention that the title of her chapter is The Most Important Relationship You'll Ever Have. And when I think about Debbie Bettendorf, that's the first thing I think about is how powerful she is. And those of you that know her, what an incredible friend she is and what an incredible honorer of relationship. She brings out the best in us, whoever she's with, and just incredible, incredible human being. And so very happy and honored to have her as one of the amazing women writing the Radiant Reset. When we start to think about the Radiant Reset, we wonder what does that mean? And maybe it means something different and individual for each one of us. I think it's one of the most intimate relationships we can have when we step into a Radiant Reset, because what it means is we're looking deep within ourselves about the new that wishes to be birthed through us, that wishes to come forth and be expressed through us. And many times we think we've already got it, we've already found our purpose, or we're already living our purpose. And then before we know it, we get that urge or that a little bit of a nudge to go deeper or to express even more. And that's exactly what each of the women in the Radiant Reset did. They were already incredibly successful, already following their passions, already doing great things in the world. And when we started writing the Radiant Reset, including myself, it's something in it triggered a deeper knowing within us. And that's why when I created the subtitle for the book, the subtitle is Claim a New Narrative of Sacred Confidence and Rise in Your Spiritual Purpose. I believe that's exactly what each of the amazing women authors that wrote and contributed to the book did during their writing process, which I should mention was not overnight. This was a 12-month process. So the writing that they did was not just one chapter of 4,000 words and they were done. It was multiple edits and much deep contemplation to bring forth not only a story, but also a teaching within the story that would guide us deeper into, guide the reader, I will say, deeper into their own Radiant Reset. And then in the book as well, we included opportunities for journaling. So when the vision of the Radiant Reset came about, I saw it as being a book that we could be very experiential with so that the reader could be right there with us. Walking along with us, walking the path of a Radiant Reset with us and creating their own Radiant Reset as we described what ours was. So I'm going to just kind of do a roundtable here of some of the authors that are here and ask a question that might be interesting for us to know. And that is, what does the Radiant Reset mean to you? I just did a bit of a riff on what it means to me and what it meant to write the book and on your behalf, what I think it meant to you. But I'd love to hear from you each of you. Christy Lynn, why don't you start off? What does writing a radiant reset, or maybe just let's just go with the definition of a radiant reset. What do you feel that that's communicating?
Yeah, and I'm glad to be here. So, for me, Radiant Reset really means how do I write a new story for myself now with the wisdom that I have and being a full expression of who I am now that I've had all these years of um, ups and downs and learning and not ashamed of who I am at this time and place and how I can serve the world without apologizing for the gifts that I have.
Yes, and I love when I did the introduction. I was speaking about the women that wrote the book were accomplished in many ways already. I think it's important for us to know that because sometimes we think that we've already gotten there and we already know. And the truth is that I think that the minute we think that is when we're really waiting for that breakthrough. We're looking for that breakthrough,
Right.
that moment of the radiant reset to come through, and that's when we discover even a deeper level of contribution that we can make in the world and the way we can express our purpose. And
Mhm.
yeah, so it's beautiful. Carol, how about you? Radiant reset. What's the definition of a radiant reset? Maybe
I,
raise your hand, Carol, so we know where you are on the screen.
I'm right here. Hi, how are you doing? I think of a radiant reset as the constant evolution of who we becoming who the best expression of ourselves. So we change throughout our lives. We take on different identities oftentimes, and we keep on evolving and growing. So that's what I think radiant reset is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think, and also what comes to mind as you're speaking is sometimes a radiant reset can come to us as a surprise. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily something that we're out there searching for. It can come as a moment of transformation or a moment of an aha, or sometimes it comes through a health crisis, or it might come through, um, maybe a breakup in a relationship or a move across country, or maybe all of those at the same time, which was kind of what I had when I got the insight or the inspiration to write a radiant reset. So, did your radiant reset come to you as a surprise, Carol? Do you feel, or do you feel you were looking for that and maybe seeking that a little bit?
It wasn't really a surprise. I'm surprised at a little bit of how much I've evolved over the last since I've actually retired from corporate America, and that evolution has been a surprise
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit, and where it's taken me has been quite a bit surprise. So but I look back and there's always a new evolving you of every day sometimes, or
Mm-hmm.
in periods of change, a lot of changes come on. So yeah.
I could ask you a lot more questions. I'm going to keep moving, and we're going to come back and talk to you about what kind of changes those were, because I know I'm curious to know that, and I know the listener, everybody else out there is curious to know too. Connie, my buddy Connie and I have been, gosh, I don't know how many books Connie has been in with me, but she's in the Radiant Reset. That's the one we're talking about today, Connie. And to define for me what Radiant Reset feels to you, what is it? And I'm going to ask you, where does it feel in your body when you think of? Because you
Yeah.
are very much a body awareness expert, movement expert. And so talk to me about Radiant Reset and maybe where does it land in your body?
I was just going to say that. That's so funny that you said that's why we work well together. But there's a juiciness, right? The word radiant. First of all, we don't use that word a whole lot, but it's so rich in the word, in the way it makes me feel. And so we wake up every day with a different body. We wake up every day with a new opportunity. And so for me, the radiant reset was really to live fully in my body, to be super present to whatever was there, good, bad, and different. If I was having a great day or a crappy day,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really matter because, this is my mantra, I am who I am, and that is enough.
Yes.
Right. And so it's not, I don't have to be better. I don't have to be thinner. I don't have to be richer. I don't have to be anyone else, but being here, really here, and being present with you, being present with whoever's around me, makes me First of all, it makes me feel happy, but makes me feel like solid, grounded. The name of my business is Absolutely Grounded for that reason, because we want to be grounded to the earth. We want to be here. We want to be with all the richness that's around us. And so that's what that radiant reset means. Every day you get to click on to a new radiant reset, whatever that is, whoever you are. And that opportunity really lights me up.
Yes, and I can feel that in you.
Yeah.
Writing this piece, were you surprised by what came through about reflecting upon?
I'm always surprised when I write, because I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to write this, and then something else happens. I think the ability to just be who I am is okay. I feel that. I feel that in the writing. I feel that who I am now in my life. I'm turning 70 in 6 months. So, that kind of feels like weighty, right? I'm just really happy to be in my body, to be the opportunity to be radiant, and have that. So I don't know if it was anything like was surprising, but it's always an honor and fun to find out what comes out, right? It comes out differently sometimes than you think about it.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing from you is let's not get set in our ways. Let's
Right.
allow life to kind of come up and meet us and allow the radiant reset to be shown, and then let's be open and receptive and accepting what
Absolutely. And
comes
to
through.
move through us, whatever
Yes.
that is,
Yes.
it's all good. Even the bad is good. It's for a reason. And to allow us to be really flexible. I think, especially as we get older, that flexibility
Mhm.
is so important.
I like what you said just now, though. It said even the bad, but what came to mind as you said it is that sometimes a radiant reset can be through really good stuff,
Yeah.
the good things that come to us. And
Right.
it's like maybe we give ourselves pause for a moment and wonder, I don't know, sometimes we might wonder, am I worthy of this? Am I ready for
Right.
this? Am I prepared for this? Am
Right.
I equipped to say yes to this? All kinds of things. But good things can come. And that could also be a radiant reset, as well
Absolutely.
as the things that, I mentioned earlier that can be the deep challenges that
Yeah.
come up. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well spoken, Connie. Thank you. Priscilla, how about you? What is a radiant reset? And I'm sorry, I've been a little bit distracted because one of the authors is trying to get in on this call because she's like, I got to get in there and I got to join the conversation. And she's having problems with the link. So if I've been a little distracted, I want to explain to you what that distraction's been. So Priscilla, you've got me 100% attention here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my radiant reset, I've had so many, and I think every single one of them over my life has been a completely different experience. There's been the challenges that have created the change, and then there's been the ones where I've been incredibly comfortable and happy with where I'm at in life, and something calls you, and it calls you forward into a new experience. And so you have the choice to answer that calling and dive in, or, to sit back and say, maybe a little bit later, I'm going to kind of hang out here for a while and deepen into what I'm doing in the moment. So writing this chapter was absolutely um, one of those experiences. I was expecting it to be so easy. I felt so ready. I was like, yes, Marsh, let's do this. It's like, it's the time. I was asking for a sign, and then you showed up, and here we were, as far as moving into writing. And then it ended up being this really transformative process. And I was totally here for it, but it was
And
unexpected,
that's
all the
deeper than what we
transformation
realize.
I've been through.
The writing of the book was a radiant reset. And as I was
Mhm.
thinking, when you and I first spoke, the subject matter, the
Oh, yeah.
content, and the purpose of the book, very, very, very different than what it ended
Very.
up being. So the book itself had a radiant reset. It went from one idea that started us writing and that got us moving in the direction. We were actually, I'll just share what it was. It was going to be about divine abundance. And we were, like, let's just talk about abundance and what does abundance mean. And now I think we ultimately spoke about abundance, but we spoke about the richness of our inner wealth, I call it our feminine prosperity, or we could call it our inner wealth of spiritual purpose, whatever feels right to us. But it was interesting to see how not only did we as authors have our own radiant resets in writing a book about radiant resets, but the book itself had a radiant reset. Now that I think about it, and we let it have its way. We let it have its way with what it wanted to be, and I'm really happy that we did, because what an incredible book that has come through, especially for times like this. Let me just move. I think I'll just stick with you right now, Priscilla. In
Okay.
writing the book and writing your chapter specifically, what's the question? What was the most meaningful insight? What was the most meaningful insight that you had as an author, as a writer? And maybe you shared some of that already in the fact that it was a bigger transformational experience than what you may have anticipated. But what else would you say if you were maybe looking from the eyes of the reader? What insight did you bring forth that really was an aha for you, as well as maybe it will be for the reader?
Yes, one of the what I like we talked about, we went through a lot of transformations, and what I was going to write about probably changed every 2 months over this last year, right? It's like continually deepened and shifted into something new, because as I was going through this process and I was being more open to new insights and I was kind of leveling up through the process, so much perspective was able to come in and allow me to see things from higher and higher levels. And to the point where I was at, by the time we published, like my final copy was was this higher level perspective of my entire life. Like originally, I was just going to write about maybe the last 5 years of my life. And then it was just this thread that I was able to see the gift of how I could partner with presence and how it always been there with me my entire life, that I was never wayward, I was never lost, I was never ever in the wrong time, the wrong place at the wrong time. I was always exactly where I was meant to be. And I always had a sense of that, even through being a child and a teenager. But there was this incredible deep body knowing and understanding, this rootedness in that truth, that I have always been present with what is, that I have always been guided by presence, that all the synchronicities in my life have been this ebb and flow of allowing life to come to me and taking it as it is and making the most of it and really enjoying it at a new level too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautifully spoken.
Thank you.
We might ask this question later. I can't remember. I have a list of questions that I prepared just to keep us on track. But I feel like I want to ask one of the questions right now is that do you feel that the writing was a peeling back of your perception of presence, so that when the final draft, the final chapter, when you were said, okay, Marsh, this is the one, let's go with it. Do you feel that the writing helped you peel back a deeper understanding or a perception of what you have defined presence to be, or allowed yourself to experience presence?
Yes, absolutely. And for me, part of that process, since I've been highly intuitive since I was a kid, I've always been a channel. And when I went into this, I thought that this was going to be kind of a channeled work, right? So I was always going in and asking like what wants to speak through me, what messages want to come through me. And I kept, hearing relative silence. And as someone who, the realization that came to me as I was driving around to the grocery store this morning thinking about this was I work in frequency all day, every day. Most of my day is spent doing sound healing sessions with crystal bowls for people and retreats. And so while I channel in all of my sessions, it is this difficulty I can have sometimes in taking the depth of what I perceive and putting it into words. And this was a wonderful exercise for that muscle within me that can take all of this and put it into words and communicate it very clearly and concisely. Putting your whole life into one chapter, all of your wisdom into one chapter was definitely a challenge.
You know, this is our
And so,
this is our 10th book, and
mhm,
what you're speaking has never been more apparent to me than it was in this book that we've just now written. I don't know if it's the title, I don't know if it's the authors, I don't know if it's the time, I don't know what brought that together, but I can tell you that in the writing, everything you were just speaking, Priscilla, is exactly what this book said to me as well. It's like just a deepening in our listening, our ability to tune in and hear and trust what was coming through. And so maybe the exercise even in the writing is to trust, just keep trusting. And in that trust, that presence was coming through. And I know in your chapter, you speak a lot about the different aspects of how we can reach in to unlock the true power of presence. Beautiful, beautiful
yes.
chapter.
And so I was thinking that this was going to be something coming through me, and the calling, ultimately, that big aha moment was that it was me that was supposed to speak. And when you're speaking for other things all the time, then it's even more like, oh, I'm speaking, and that's a whole different muscle to exercise
Beautiful.
in
That's
the
beautiful.
process.
That's a
So
beautiful awareness.
deepening with the presence of not just what comes through me all day, every day, also with myself and my own body's wisdom. It created a new relationship for me, for sure.
Powerful. Cece, I want to say hi to you and welcome. Thank you for joining.
You.
I know that
Thank you for having me.
I may have you have jumped on the call impromptu, thinking you were coming a little later. So thank you for coming in early, because I was looking forward to having you on the show. We've already talked with one question, but I thought what I would do is just go back and let me ask you that question, because it's an important one. What does a radiant reset mean to you?
Oh, well, from the alchemy of artistry perspective, I feel like getting in touch with your soul, heart, soul energy, and it's okay to begin again and kind of activate yourself through movement and awaken and be gentle and kind in those moments. So to me, a radiant reset is accessible every moment, and finding that energy shift that you can have any moment to be anything you want to be.
I love this, Cece, because what I'm hearing you say, which is what we've not spoken about yet, is that we can be our own ally in creating a radiant reset by having body awareness. I mean, Connie and I spoke a little bit about that a minute ago, but you're talking about really tuning into your creative side, the deeper depth of your creative knowingness, and allowing that to move through your body, through all of the things that you teach. All this.
Yes. And you get to do it your way.
Yes.
You get to do it your way. That, and whichever sequence that you do to show up, it's you, and to be okay with all of you to begin again on any kind of creative endeavor. Like life is creative itself, moment to moment.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that, because sometimes we think something has to happen. We're waiting around for something to happen, or waiting for the clarity of something. And we spoke about that yesterday, I think. And where the truth is, we can always reach in for that when we allow it to be, and be our own best ally in creating that. So for you, what was the most meaningful insight that you gained when you were writing your chapter? Maybe something that surprised you.
Yes. Well, I just looked at the book, and I found a little quote, if I can, and it's just a couple of sentences, and I'm going to read. The alchemist's journey from frustration to inspiration highlights transformational powers of adopting a mindset focused on creative liberation. The alchemist practice recognizes the value of play, messy experiments and exploration and cultivating an environment that fosters creativity.
Beautiful.
Yes. And just begin again, because the
And
time is
what
now.
is your chapter's title? Tell us your chapter's title. I have it here too. Maybe I can find it for us too.
Yes.
Don't mean to put.
I think I might have scripted it. So my book just came today. I haven't unveiled my new book.
It's called Awaken the Artistry of Alchemy. Awaken
Yeah.
the Artistry of Alchemy is your chapter title.
I'm doing my unveiling here of my book right here.
They're gorgeous. Are they gorgeous? I know.
Oh my gosh.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's 300 pages too. It's not a small book. It's a very rich book in experiential exercises and practices and ways.
I love that you said experimental. It's like awakening through experiment, awakening through moving the body.
Yes, beautiful. Christy Lynn, I'm feeling like I want to ask you this question. What's the most meaningful insight that you gained while writing your chapter? Tell us the title of your chapter, by the way.
Finding the feminine face of God.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
So it's so interesting, kind of a lot of what a lot of you are saying, but how I kept evolving and learning, because just like Priscilla, I think my topic changed at least 5 times. As we were writing this, and Marsh, you were obviously coaching us and helping us along the way, but we also had this special spiritual journey that you and I went on prior to, and you write about it in the book a little bit in the beginning of this book. But
tell me a little bit about that, because that's, that kind of, I believe that the spiritual journey, when you're called to a spiritual journey, I'm just going to jump in for a minute, but when we're called to the spiritual journey, there's going to be a radiant reset. I mean, there is the same sentence. Am I right?
Yes.
You go on a vision quest or a pilgrimage, and there's going to be a radiant reset. And if there's not, it would be a surprising thing. So talk to me a little bit about what that journey was like, and what insight did you gain there that maybe influenced or pointed you to the chapter topic?
Yes, it was such a life-changing thing. So what started out as kind of the spiritual search for the divine feminine and the sacred path of Mary Magdalene through the south of France became this almost world tour, right? It kept extending, because we went through south of France looking for all the mystic and sacred sites of Mary Magdalene, and I kept seeing this other theme, and one of the themes was how the face of God and the face of women had been erased from history, and yet here was evidence in the south of France that women were so much more prominent, and a piece of history that we just don't hear about anymore. And I have a background in theology and all of this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, has like all this been a lie? And so it started really shaping me for this other picture, and we experienced so much, and some of it's in the book and some of it I think we'll be talking about later, but you and I did things, first of all, that we probably weren't thinking we'd ever do, like hike in the French Alps to get to this cave that I probably thought I was going to have a heart attack and die. I don't know about you. But we get to the, thank God we kind of do a little bit, but we were training kind of, and we're walking in, like 10 minutes into, or like, are we there yet? And an hour and a half we got there. And so it was this, it really stretched us both physically, mentally, but it was a calling for sure. But we got to all these places, and I know you probably experienced the same thing. We would sit and we would immediately hear from spirit, or we'd hear from Mary Magdalene, or we would hear a channeled message or something from the divine that was so for that moment that you just can't deny. It was like a calling that we were on this journey, and it just kept building, just things I didn't even think I'd experienced while we were there. And so that piece alone was just
like it awakened something. It feels to me that the journey, I wrote about it in the introduction of the book, but it feels as though that the journey for me you and I were there alongside one another, kind of cheering each other on, doing this intense experience. It feels as though it nudged loose something within me. It maybe, and you as well, to where this new radiant reset that was wishing to be made or created or experienced or allowed, it allowed it to be recognized, and then we were in a position where we said yes to that, and that was very incredibly dynamic opportunity to awaken to parts of ourselves. The way I look at it is parts of ourselves that awakened that we'd forgotten. And
Clearly.
yeah, so it's really your chapter is a very important one. It's poignant, and it's potent, and it's important. And thank you, Connie. I know Connie has to go. Let's all wave to Connie as she.
Bye, Connie.
Thank you,
Thank
Connie.
you, everybody.
She has a class, I believe.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. So, yeah, I think it's important. One thing I just want to pause for a moment and mention that the book, I believe there's a link in the chat where you can buy the book, and it's kind of fun today to know that it's going to be $1.99 for the ebook, and I'm announcing that for the first time on this show, $1.99, and you can pick up the ebook. Of course, you can buy the paperback as well for, I believe it's $14.95 or $14.99, something of that nature. Beautiful book, beautiful body of work. It's one, I feel it's one that you're going to want to keep, and maybe you're going to want to buy one or two for a friend or a sister or a daughter, because it feels as though it's an important body of work that's going to be with us for a very long time, that we're going to want to reflect back on through the voices of a multitude of women. One of my colleagues wrote today and said, what a powerful body of work, and each one individually expressed. So there's no one author that was speaking in the exact same language as another one. They're all speaking from the truth and the spirit of their soul and their creative spirit, I'll say to Cece, and allowing that voice to come through and be the guide for the Radiant Reset that not only were they experiencing in their own life, but also inspiring each of us to step into our Radiant Reset. And I love what Cece said, a Radiant Reset can happen. We could be our own colleague, our own ally, our own best friend at creating a Radiant Reset. And Connie reminded us that a Radiant Reset can happen any single moment. Priscilla reminded me that it's a peeling back of understanding the depth of who we truly are. So just about the time we think we know, we discover that there's so much more to know. And Christy reminded me in her writing that there's a beautiful, beautiful face of the divine feminine that's longing to be expressed through us. And what does she mean to us is the question. And Christy does an incredible job of taking us through all of the different layers and all of the different ways that we can touch into the divine feminine and the face of the feminine leadership, I will call it, feminine face of God and feminine face of leadership in today, which is something we're really, really needing more than ever. So take a look. I think that the link is up there. You can go on Amazon and pick it up now for $1.99 and experience this by way of an ebook. I bought one last night, an ebook last night, because I wanted to see what it looked like. Has anybody else bought an ebook? I was like,
I did. Yeah.
I bought the ebook. I just wanted to see
Yeah, I bought it.
Look like.
Yeah, I wanted to see what it looked like too.
Quietly bought it. It was like quietly bought it. We've been quietly doing a pre-release too. I will mention, maybe some of the people on my Facebook feed might not say it's been too quiet, but I've been quietly announcing the book, and we went bestseller in 2 categories, which was women and spirituality, and also it was in somebody else help me. We're close to journaling.
Writing and journaling.
And what was the other one?
Writing and journaling.
Business. Women in business, I thought.
Women in business, and one other.
Journaling. Writing and journaling.
There's 3 of us though. 3 categories. Anyway, who cares?
Spirituality, business, and journaling and writing.
What was the first one you said, Cece?
Spiritual,
Yes.
women in business, and journaling, writing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because we have the journal prompts at each chapter of each woman has created more insight for each, for the reader to find. It's like a little mini retreat at home.
It is a retreat at home. Perfect. It's a guidebook, but I love retreat at home. It's exactly what it is. It's the way you can create your own radiant reset. What I wasn't looking to do was create a book just with a lot of stories in it, which are beautiful. Those are beautiful books. However, what I was looking to create was a book that would be your guidebook. It would be a book that you could walk right alongside each of us and create your own radiant reset as by way of, linking arms with us and our own experiences. And there's none of us that didn't have a radiant reset during the writing of this book. Carol, talk to me about, did I ask you already what was the most meaningful insight that you gained in writing your chapter? Did I ask you that already?
I don't think so.
If not, tell me again. If I did, tell me again.
I discovered, in spite of my in a quite advanced age at this point, that it finally occurred to me that my identity is no longer dependent on outward validation. It is a beautiful blend of fusion with God, with self-acceptance, and with a commitment to a joy path. And it's taken me nearly 69 years to get to this point.
And by the way, Carol, I do not see that as an advanced age. So, because if you're an advanced age, I'm right there with you. And I'm going to say that's not an advanced age. I think I'm aging backwards, as a matter of fact. You are too. Let's age backwards.
I think that's for me, it took me this long to get there. And yes. And you're right. I have a 97-year-old mother, so this is not an advanced age at all. But yes,
you have a few more radiant resets ahead of you.
Yes, that's right. But I think that was the surprise, that it's no longer important, and then I can rely on my intuitive sense, because it's really ancestral, and I've remembered that, and it took me that I evolved into that during the writing of my piece, that I remembered my ancestry and that I come by it naturally. I just haven't always listened to it. So that was a beautiful revelation.
Yeah, listening keeps coming up for us, even during this conversation today. It's about listening more deeply for the answers that are already there, that are just longing to be brought forth. What is the favorite quote from the chapter? Let's see, who wants to talk to me about that? Cece, your favorite quote within your chapter, or a favorite quote within another author's chapter? Either you choose. It does just a favorite quote that's within the book.
Well,
your favorite ones, or from your
I'm not prepared for that. I just remember something that I did write, that I took from Joseph Campbell, about the example of your creative space could even just be your pen and paper. It doesn't matter how big or small that you have. So that's what I would put out there.
That was actually one of the revelations I've had. Now, it's like, why is that a revelation now after writing 10 books? One would think that I would have had that 9 books ago. But one of the biggest revelations I had was how vital it is that we write. And Joseph Campbell, I know, created what he called a sacred space, which was his special pen and his special paper, sort of like exactly what you just said. It's like, just write, just put the pen down on a piece of paper and write what your heart wishes to communicate. And expect nothing from that. Just go for it, go for it. And I think that we sometimes, let me just speak for myself, I've undervalued the power of writing. And again, it's like, how could I have not had this revelation? I've been writing since 1999 and interviewing women and helping women write their stories this many years. This year, I gained a new level of respect and honor for the art of writing and the art of expressing through writing. And I think Priscilla, spoke it as well about the peel back that happens through writing. And, we really have a lot that we can gain. I was going to shout out to Debbie Bettendorf, because I can feel her with us right now. And I know she's either tuning in or she's wishing she could tune in. And I just want to send out a wave of love, and maybe everybody listening can do that along with me, because she's really really, I know, wanted to be here with us today. So what is another question we can talk about? Favorite quote, anybody else? Kishti Lynn, what do you have? Was there a favorite quote you had within your chapter, or a quote that you read in the book that moved you?
Well, I haven't read all the chapters for everyone, so I don't want to just pick someone and make them feel bad, but so I'm going to use my own. But I know all the chapters are going to have amazing quotes. I picked one from mine because, and this is where I was kind of feeling today, but I'll just read it. And kind of based on what we were talking about, as we go on these journeys, what do we find about ourselves? So my quote is, I finally feel the complete love of the feminine face of God. To continue to grow on my spiritual path to soul consciousness, I'm continually called to heal and release the pain held in the undiscovered regions of my inner wounds. And I truly believe that this will break the generational wounds steeped in beliefs of not being enough and being too much at the same time. I must acknowledge, forgive, release, and move forward. This is how I move forward in love.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful passage. I'm just going to go right to the next question, which is, in what ways do you see that insight could support women in creating a new narrative for their own life?
Yeah, and that's perfect segue, because that's how if we can move forward in love, this is what I was thinking, healing isn't going to happen overnight. So we do a little bit, but we just keep moving forward. We keep loving on ourselves. We keep learning to love ourselves one piece at a time. And don't be afraid of facing our shadow. And that was the biggest thing for me. Like, I had to make peace with and become friends with the things I didn't like about myself, or the things that I thought I had failed in.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave myself the gift of time,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. And so the biggest lesson I think that I want women to understand is, take the time to heal, make peace or make friends with the shadow side of yourself. And I think Carl Jung said, until you confront and make peace with your shadow, you're never going to be aligned with yourself, right? And so don't feel the need to explain yourself to others, or apologize, or tell your journey to people. Like, a lot of it is private. You can share it with people, that's fine. But as we face these challenges, take the time and keep moving forward, loving on yourself, even if you don't believe it at first, because ultimately you will learn to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the quote I want to end with, then, to sum all of this up, is, the big transformation is, and this is kind of my motto for the year, she dares to greet challenges with the presence of love. She remains open to gaining a higher level of remembering her own wisdom, and reclaims her inner divinity of God within. This is the feminine face of God.
Oh, how beautiful.
Like, that's the ultimate goal, right? To remember and to remain in that presence of love, and know that I have God within me. I have that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Carol was saying. That's what Cece's saying. Like, when we remember that we have it. And Priscilla, actually, I did read Priscilla's chapter. Like, it's going to blow your mind. And it is coming from her. Like, it just, like, it gave me, I want to go and, like, do a class with her on it, because if we can remember, like, these elements, and being in the presence and understanding, we have everything we need in that presence and in our own divinity, and love on ourselves. Like, that's all. If we only do that, that's going to change your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. I believe, yes. Yes.
I mean, yes, period, exclamation point. Yes. Priscilla, like, I see, it's all beautiful, and everyone's chapter, I know, is amazing.
Everyone's chapter, and everyone spoke. You know, we often hear "get out of our own way," which I've never liked that saying. But what we did was, we allowed ourselves to step aside and let that voice, the higher voice of us, come through, and allowed it to teach us, as it was speaking through us, to the page, to our readers, to the community. And that in itself was the Radiant Reset. I think if I had to give a definition of Radiant Reset, it would be that. Allowing myself to step aside, so that higher voice, that higher vision, that higher knowingness can come through and speak its truth.
Mhm.
And that's what every single author did this. Who hasn't given me a quote yet? I don't think, Carol, did you give me a quote from the
No,
book?
it kind of had to do with what I talked with earlier, that my maternal grandmother was a suffragette. My paternal Italian-born great-grandmother was a gypsy. My mother, whose descendants are from Ireland, has always had a sixth sense, in a kind of a remarkable sixth sense. I now honored my heritage and realize that when I know something, I need to listen. And this is a gift from God that he has given my ancestral lineage. So that's what I learned.
It's a beautiful quote. And I think if I had a theme for the show today, I would say, let's learn to listen. How can we come to that deeper level and understanding of how to listen? And I know that Cece talks a lot about listening within your body, getting yourself moving so that we can really listen within our body.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
what ways do you see this insight supporting women? Did we talk to you about that, Priscilla? Or did I even ask you a quote yet? I'm not sure.
I haven't given a quote yet, no, but I didn't, yeah.
Maybe you can give a quote and tell me about how that insight might support women in creating their own radiant reset.
Yeah, and it's funny, the quote that I had picked falls right in line with what you were just saying too. So we're just all doubling up on all of this goodness right now. But in the heart of presence, we can love everything as creation loves possibility. We move into the liminal spaces of existence and magnetize magic to our everyday moments. Resting into an empowered partnership with all that is, we release the need to struggle, feeling how we are held by the universe. When we sit back in presence and admire the wonderful way the world works without us interfering, we are allowing the world to show itself to us. We can observe life and get to know it for what it is beyond our desire to change it. We learn to release our questions to the universe, trusting the answers will find their way back to us in perfect timing. And so absolutely, it's that that idea of me before. I thought I needed to manage life. I needed to manifest things. I needed to organize things. I needed to make things happen, that type A part of me, right? You need to go to college. You needed to get the internships and the careers and get the promotions. And I tried doing all those traditional things. And at every step, I found myself in acting as a healer in a corporate setting, you know, and being successful in my own way, but always being in these disruptive environments. Chose to it was a limitation to what I thought success could be, because I was like Mary Poppins popping into these like crisis companies all the time. And so when we can let go of that idea that it's up to me to make life what it is, life is already what it is. What if I can just sit back and watch and enjoy it? The way I like to sit back and watch my 6-year-old daughter just be herself, right? She is so magical. And she does things far beyond my imagination. She sees the world in a totally different way. And if I didn't take the time to stop and sit back and just let her do her thing without limitation, I would miss out on so much of who she is. And I think that having a relationship with life in that same way really was my radiant reset, my shift into admiring life, marveling in life,
Yes.
and also seeing how life has always shown up for me, even when I thought I was always alone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So in 2 or 3 words, how would that perception, how would that mindset, that heart set help women transform into their own radiant reset? What you just spoke to me.
What I'm hearing is rest into life. Rest into it. And it's that they're showing me a trust fall in my spidey senses. They're showing me kind of this trust fall with this glorious pillow of clouds behind you, right? Just what you don't know what you're going to fall into until you let go.
There you go. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And, you know, I was just being reminded as everyone was speaking about their favorite quote. The premise of the book, many times when I was working with the authors, it was the next evolution is calling to you. And when I think of that, as often I said that to myself and looked at the chapter drafts, and the next evolution is calling to us. That is about a deep listening, isn't it? We have to be willing to really listen deep within. We have to be present. We have to be willing to be in that, the willingness in all divine timing. We have to be in the willingness for the surprise to come through, and for the new point of view to surface, and be willing to be our own partner, as you know, Cece spoke to us. And so many of the authors are speaking a same thing, but speaking it over and over in different ways, in very different, unique ways. And I love it so much. We're getting close to being, you know, to the place where we're going to have to say bye. Before I do that, though, I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's been joining in, and giving comments and sharing your insights along the way. I've seen them all pop up on the screen, and I want to say thank you for that, because it makes it so fun. Like Bonnie, excellent podcast, ladies. Thank you. Just purchased the ebook and looking forward to reading your words of wisdom. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. There's 12 incredible voices. And Lisa, writing reveals the most vulnerable parts of the writer. Yes, it does. Amen to that. Susan's excellent. Yes, indeed. It really does. Writing is a surprising art of transformation. Back in the early days when I first started writing and interviewing women, I called it the art of the transformational interview. And I didn't, you know, this is a little embarrassing or uncomfortable to say, but I don't think that I put it together that it was also transformational writing. It was transformational interviewing, because I would speak with a woman, and before we knew it, she was revealing those innermost aspects of herself that had made her uncomfortable, but were actually the glimmers of her own radiance, her own potentials, her own possibilities. And as she did that, as she revealed that through our conversations, something within me was being revealed that was equally important for me to see. So I called it transformational interviewing, because what we did was we sat together, and before we knew it, we were both experiencing a transformation that would not have happened, perhaps, had we not connected on that deep, vulnerable level. So I love the fact that we can take that level of connectedness and now point it towards ourselves, point it towards that intimate relationship with our own radiant reset and the potentials that it holds, the potentials that it's wishing to have expressed through us. And I love that we can do that through writing. So I'm a very, you're going to see a lot more coming from me on the art of writing, because I believe it is one of our most powerful tools of transformation. So we're getting close. So let's maybe do a round table on, if there were one message you'd like to share with women as they step into creating their radiant reset of their own. This is like a 2 or 3 or maybe a one long sentence of the insight of inspiration that you'd like to share with women.
Well, I like to start.
Go for it.
I like to start because
you go for it.
This is so important right now for women's voices to be heard, and for if other women to not be fearful to shine, and you know, reach out to one of us, or reach out to Marsh, or find some other. It's time to be seen and voice and support all of our sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's just, and we need to be seen and heard and action. It's crucial.
And people are waiting to hear from us.
Mm-hmm.
They are waiting for what we have to say. We think that we have to wait for them to be willing to hear us. And no, they're eager to hear us. We as trailblazing women, as transformational leaders, as pioneering messengers, we have a voice that must be spoken, because it's lifting our humanity forward. So when we sit on the, on the side, thinking, oh, is society ready to hear me? Or as my message, people often say, Marsh, you speak so deep. And I'm like, I know, isn't that wonderful? Because it's like, what else is there? Just express the heart and soul of who you are and what wishes to come through you. And I think we can start doing that with writing, CC. We can start doing that with getting in our bodies and doing the somatic dances that you teach, and all the meditations and the art that you teach us. All of that helps us then awaken that voice within us. And then, of course, the book we write about sacred confidence, which we really haven't spoken so much about on today's podcast. But sacred confidence is that voice within us that carries the truth of who we are. And it is that spiritual connectedness that we have that carries the vibration or the frequency or the voice, the message that wishes to be spoken through us. So I am so with you, CC. I'm linking arms on this. Let's use our voices. Use our voices. Give me one exercise, CC, that would help women really tune into their voice.
Well,
One that just
allowing themselves to laugh and move out the energy, like taking a deep breath in and anytime, just to move the energy and say, oh no, okay, the time is now to show up. If you're thinking you're waiting for a perfect time to show up,
now would be the time. Now would be the time. The 19th of March. The 19th of March is the best time. I don't know what time we are. We're at almost 6 o'clock here in
just take a deep breath and
7 o'clock.
let it out.
Yes, exactly. So how about you, Priscilla? What is one message that you would share? A few words or a big long sentence?
I would say find bliss in the process. Like when you can step back and you can just marvel at the fact that you're even here in this body, on this planet, having this experience, challenging or not. When you can sit back and see the magic in that and truly embrace the magic of the fact you're even having any experience at all, then it helps kind of pull you out of that humanness into that higher perspective, sacred, divine perspective. And it just allows you to have more joy and bliss in the process. How
Yes,
cool is it that I get to do this today? How cool is it that I'm challenged today? How cool is it that things are easy today? And just say,
who's
wow.
with me and looking forward to what we were going to be doing today? Was
Yeah.
anybody else looking for? I was like so looking forward. I was so looking forward because I get to hang out with amazing women. We have great conversations about transformation and about how we can live our most amazing selves. I think it's Christy. How about you? One sentence that you would like to leave with the women who are listening here today. Probably some men too, but a lot of women.
Yes, and there's an energy and a synergy when we're all doing this together. That's what I want to say. If there ever was a time in history, I believe it is now, that we are all doing this together because it is our time. And I want to say that's different from it's our turn, because if it's our turn, that means someone has to sit down. But if it's our time, we're all at the same time doing this together. And I know it sounds like just semantics, but there's a big difference because I don't want anyone sitting down. So it's not your turn, but it's our time because we're all going to be in this together. And I really want to challenge anyone who feels their voice has been silenced, like Cece said. Even if you just are whispering it, it is time to release your voice. And we are all in this together because it is our time.
Yes. And everyone's voice makes a difference collectively. I think you touched on this. I'm going to point it out again. Every voice within this book is a different voice, a different uniqueness to their voice. They're all speaking the same, though. They're all speaking the same message. It's time for a radiant reset. It's time to take a stand. It's time to invest our voices. It's time to trust and know our presence. It's time to do the transformation, create the transformation that we're here to create, and trust that we're here for a reason. I know that we spoke a little bit about some of the book. I'm not going to get too much into what I wrote about, but the introduction was very transformative for me. It helped to create the integration of the entire trip to France, and that was an important piece because Joan of Arc was quite the guide for me. And there's something that Joan of Arc said, you know, I am not afraid. I was born to do this. I am not afraid. I was born to do this. And those words, how many words is that? Maybe 6 or 8 words. Within those words is such a potent message to each of us. If we could remember that I am not afraid. There's no such thing as being afraid because I was born to do this. Therefore, let me use my voice now to let that be known. And that's what I would leave us with. But before I do that, Carol, I want to ask you, what would be you'd like to leave with women today?
Trust yourself and you're not alone.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I think we're at 7 o'clock. I don't know if the show is, this is my first show doing in a lot of years. So I don't know, Lynn, are we at closing or do we have some time still?
You can wrap it up. On behalf of the producer here and Debbie, this has been an amazing show, and I know that she'd be very proud of what you've done here, Debbie, or Marsh, and you beautiful ladies here. So you have time. We're not going to close you out and knock you out, but you guys stay after you're done here. So
okay,
but I'll help you close
so
it out.
I'm just going to do just a big, maybe all of us, if you've got your books, let's get a picture of this. Can somebody do a picture? Let's see, maybe I can, I don't know, maybe. Let's just get a picture of it. And anybody watching right now that would like to get a picture, yay. And I will also say, nothing makes me smile more than seeing your photograph with your book in your hand online in social media. And I get a lot of those. So Carol, do you have your book handy?
Yep.
Let's do a picture here, let me see. Here we go.
Sorry, I just have the Kindle.
Okay. That's okay.
I'm trying to get the cover. I can't even get the cover
okay.
up.
It's okay.
We'll pretend it says.
Nobody's going to notice it. I promise you. Maybe
I'll superimpose it later.
Yeah, I can use without PowerPoint. I can Photoshop in the cover.
Yeah.
Hey, I just bought the Kindle.
You did?
Oh,
Yay.
cool. Did we get our shot?
Let's get a picture.
Did we get our shot? This is our sacred humility.
We need good ones. We need a good shot. Anybody that's out there that's laughing at us for doing this,
I invite a nice deep breath in.
I want to see your photo. I want to see you holding your book. And last year with the Divine Legacy release, we had crazy. There were people like on the Golden Gate Bridge. That might have been UCC. We had people at the pyramids.
At the pyramids.
We had
in the desert
all over the world that were holding their book up. And then I carried the Divine Legacy book all over France with me. And so you'll see, like, way back on my social media, I have all these pictures of Divine Legacy and me standing at wherever it was. I was standing in France, but I'm carrying this book with me. Cece loves this book.
I love this book. It's a nice size. It's bigger than our last book. I mean, smaller than our last book.
And it's
thicker.
Chunkier, yes.
Chunky. But feels good in hand.
If you ladies will stay with me after we close out, I got a message for you. So
okay, good.
Thank you.
So here's what I want to say. Thank you to every single one of you that's tuned in today. Thank you for your patience with me. I haven't done a show for a while, and I've just so loved being with you. I can't even begin to tell you how much fun we had knowing that you were there with us and celebrating the I want to say Divine Legacy. Yes, we are celebrating that, but we're also celebrating the radiant. Yes.
And on behalf
of love, thank you.
And on behalf of the Find It, we'd love to redo this when Debbie can be back.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's do it for sure. You count me in.
Okay, you guys, don't forget styles. You're greater than style 11. Don't forget style 11. And we will see you guys next time on the Find It show. And we'll close this out. Thank you.
That floats around me, keeping me